Last night, my wife and I visited the Herberger Theatre in downtown Phoenix, Arizona, to see the stage play Screwtape Letters, presented by Max McLean and Fellowship for Performing Arts. Here's my review. Welcome to our podcast, The Screwtape Letters, Confronting Evil in Our Time. I'm Ian Faith.
And I'm Galen Belinsky. In each episode, we will unpack one of C.S. Lewis's 31 letters and illuminate the nefarious schemes that the devil and his minions play in our world today.
Understanding how the demonic forces seek to separate us from God helps us to expose them,
reject them, and pursue Jesus as the center of our lives.
Subscribe and join us and our guests on this journey, The Screwtape Letters.
We wrote this devotional because we were tired of pretending everything was fine. It wasn't. Evil was hitting our families, our peace, and our faith. We needed something that spoke to the battles we were actually living. That's why we wrote Confronting Evil in Our Time.
So welcome back to the Screwtape Letters podcast, Confronting Evil in Our Time. I'm Ian Faith. We interviewed a couple of weeks ago writer, producer, author, and actor Max McLean about his work with Christian theater, Christian productions, and Screwtape on stage. As someone who's spent years digging into the works of C.S. Lewis, I was generally intrigued by how Max and his team would handle this production. Screwtape on stage, it's not the sort of thing that you think immediately adapts to the stage easily. There's a fine line between doing justice to Lewis's work and turning it into something maybe modernized at the point of being reductive to what it originally was, or even degrading. And additionally, Screwtape is not an easy book to adapt. It's not an easy book to read. So reading each letter straight through on stage, would take many hours, and that's not a format that would have worked. So how did they come about making this work, and what would a modern audience really relate to within this? There's a lot of chatter around the Screwtape Letters being labeled as satire. Well, that's not fully incorrect. Mocking the devil or mocking the demonic is actually a powerful tool. It can be misleading if audiences come and expecting this to be a comedy, which it's not. There are moments of levity, and you'll find yourself laughing at certain bits and pieces, but it's not a comedy. As Gail and I have discussed on the Screwtape Letters podcast, Confronting Evil in Our Time, this story is far more concerned with the subtle temptations of the demonic and reality of spiritual warfare and securing one's salvation than it is about humor. There are moments that elicit laughter, as I said, and you'll find yourself chuckling over, the things in the play that really are deserving of that. And I think Lewis even put a few of those in there. But they serve as relief rather than as the point of the play. Again, it's not comedy, nor is it scary and dark. It's one thing that people have to know as well. This is not something that's really dark. Instead, it remains true to Lewis's original intent. It uses a lot of ironic inversion and to expose the quiet everyday forces that influence the choices mankind makes in shaping our spiritual lives. This is what we cover in our book, Confronting Evil in Our Time. So ultimately, this is a thoughtful, reflective production, one that challenges the audience to really examine the unseen influences that work in their own lives. It doesn't shock or frighten. It provokes contemplation. And in that sense, it honors Lewis's work, exceptionally well. The play runs for about 90 minutes. There's no intermission. So bathroom breaks, get your drink, put away any cell phones, all the crackly stuff, and settle in. And in today's society, when you think about it, 90 minutes uninterrupted is kind of a challenge, which is kind of sad. And for some of those people, it probably feels like an eternity. But for me, it flew by. It was kind of amazing. And it really works. It really works, this format does. And I know they must have put a lot of thought into this before going into it. So before diving into the production, The Herberger Theatre in Phoenix, Arizona deserves a shout out because, I mean, it's a wonderful, intimate, older venue that has so much majesty for the arts. Absolutely worth taking a look into. And it carries a reverence that when people put the work into a play like this, that is deserved as well. And it carries the performance really beautifully. The cast consists of only 2 people. Gregory Alan Jackson and Anna Reichert were the people we saw last night, who were on the stage from the very beginning all the way through the 90 minutes uninterrupted. They don't leave. All of the changes, everything's done in the midst of the play, and it's really fantastic. The play opens with Screwtape at a podium delivering a speech in what is the dining hall from hell, which is a brilliant way to set the scene rather than jumping straight into my dear Wormwood. Screwtape stands there at the podium, Toadpipe lurks in the background, and from the opening moments, it's clearly established that this is a hell scene, that you're down there. The stage, props to the designers because they did a fantastic job with this. The set's built on like a triangular platform that's tilted towards the audience, allowing you to see visibly the floor, which makes for a really great visual there as well. And you can see moments where they pull out knives and bones and things from the floor and drop things into fiery pits as well. After the initial intro, it transitions into Screwtape's office in hell. The space is anchored with an ornate chair on the left and a spiral staircase that reaches up into earth and out of hell. And there's a pipe that comes down that delivers letters, and there's a side table next to his chair for filing these letters on a spike as well. The lighting, sound design, brilliantly done. They support the actors perfectly in their motions, in the dramatic areas that things happen, lightning, sound effects, crackling. They really enhance it without being too distracting and do a fantastic job. I think Max and his team tried to balance keeping this true to the book and not modernizing it too much, which I think was a great call. Full transparency, I'm not a big theater person. My wife is. And that said, I did deeply appreciate the talent. Alan and Anna were incredible, like from start to finish. I don't know how people memorize that many lines, that many actions, where I've got to be on stage, don't trip over this, go and sit down at this moment, stand up at that moment, climb at that moment. Yeah, brilliantly done. And for straight 90 minutes, just 2 of them, that was pretty incredible. And watching that level of discipline and skill in an era where we're all social media, lots of edits and things like that, it truly is an art form that needs support and needs to be held up. And for me, 10 out of 10 for staging, performance, absolutely sort of mind-bogglingly good. The production weaves the story of, maybe people don't know it, of the patient's being tempted by these demons. And the demon that's assigned to the patient's Wormwood. So Screwtape's right into his nephew, Wormwood, on his progress in tempting and separating him from God. And so it also incorporates some of the most iconic lines from the Screwtape Letters, which I really appreciate. They had to truncate letters because the letters are too long to do them fully, but it still really weaves in them, including, indeed the safest road to hell is the gradual one, the gentle slope, soft underfoot, without sudden turnings, without milestones, without signposts. When you hear things like that and you know the book, it really brings you in and makes you feel very welcome with that. So the experience overall, and also reverse this a little bit, Max comes out at the end, Max McLean, to do a bit of a Q&A with people. And he asks how many people have read the book fully, how many people have maybe started reading it, stopped reading it, or are in the middle of it. And then people who haven't read it at all. And there's a real mix of all 3. And because it is a struggle. We did our podcast, Confronting Evil in Our Time, the Screwtape Letters podcast, because it is a tough read, but it's a very important read. I'd say anyone who is out there who is just struggling with life, start reading. I think imperative in this day and age. Start reading, get off social media, pick up books. It will edify your world. It will change your world for the better. And the Screwtape Letters one is one that I think you should definitely do. But there was something for all of those three groups in this production. They all had something that they could take away from this. I was particularly impressed with how effectively the material was shaped for the stage. Again, by truncating those letters and moving from piece to piece and around the stage, they did it brilliantly. My wife fell into the category of someone who's never read the book. And she was absolutely completely wowed by the performance, the lighting, the staging, the noises, everything. And so she enjoyed it, even though she knew nothing about it and had many questions from me on the way home. So even for those who don't know it, you can really enjoy it as well. I found myself most curious about the middle group, those that had maybe started reading it and were in the midst of it and still getting to know more about it, or those who had struggled. It clarified anything for them, deepened their want to read on, their understanding of what was going on. But judging by the expressions and conversations I heard afterwards, I was watching faces as it ended. It was generally super positive. I've heard people saying, that was wonderful. I can't believe how good that was. And again, it was not just older people. There was a lot of middle-aged people there, and a good share of youth and young adults as well. Great cross-section. My takeaway is I would rate this a full 9, maybe 9.5 out of 10. As someone who's a big devotee to Lewis, I would have loved it to be longer. But I think if they would have tried to do that, they would have had to make it longer, put in an intermission, and that would have really broken up the flow. So I don't think that was the greatest thing if they would have tried to do that. So they did that perfectly. My thoughts on it, love to have seen it longer, but again, I'm probably in that sort of small percentage group. There's also a piece for those with no exposure, the Screwtape Letters. This production serves perfectly as an on-ramp. This is a way to get them reading this book, get them into Christian apologist work, and C.S. Lewis being no one better for that, and then dig in deeper. And I'd also encourage you to check out, if you've just heard this review and you don't know much about me or the podcast I do with my partner Galen, our Screwtape Letters podcast, Confronting Evil in Our Time, we go through each one of the letters. You'll hear the reading of the original letter, and then we actually break it down, let you understand what Lewis was trying to say in each one of these letters. And that's in season 1. So you've got to go back a couple of years in our work to see that. Season 2, we cover the biblical Easter eggs, but that's in there for you to look at as well. And it really helps you understand where Lewis was coming from in terms of spiritual warfare as well. I'd also say that it invites Christians to ask those difficult but necessary questions about faith, salvation, and the nature of temptation in their lives. What is good? What is bad? What is Christ-like? What isn't? And also the ultimate question is, can the demonic truly separate you from God? And Lewis hints in here that is a piece that, if you read our book, Confronting Evil in Our Time, letter or chapter 28 in our book that talks about Lewis's letter 28 is something that it could be great for a Bible study. I mean, it poses great questions about Calvinism or the Arminian thinking as well. So I say take this into a Bible study, dig in deep. We have a study guide that has questions that you can incorporate, so you don't have to do the heavy lifting yourself on there. But it's great for meaningful conversation and deeper contemplation for Christians as well. It really is good. So I'd say go see this. Go see Screwtape Letters on stage. It is fantastic. Round up your friends. Request it. You can go on their website and request it to come to your town. If there's enough demand there, that they'll bring it there. But it's something I think will be on stage for a long, long time. It's a phenomenal work. I think they could also complement it with follow-ups, things you could get further engaged with, because this is a work that you can't read and go, okay, I'm just going to go and read something else. There has to be something next. For us, it was the podcast. People have been edified through our podcast, deeper dive with Christ, with their Bible study through this. So it's something I think you should definitely do. So go to screwtapeonstage.com, find out where it's coming to a town near you. Make sure you attend, get tickets. If you've seen it once, take friends, go see it again. I'll put links in the show notes as well so you can see this. Or you can come to our website, screwtapeletterspodcast.com. Remember, the book Confronting Evil in Our Time is in stores. It's 304 pages, takes a deep dive into spiritual warfare. It's very readable, has great takeaways, great prayers for each section as well. So until next time, I'm Ian Faith, Screwtape Letters Podcast, Confronting Evil in Our Time. We'll see you again next time.
We wrote this devotional because we were tired of pretending everything was fine. It wasn't. Evil was hitting our families, our peace, and our faith. We needed something that spoke to the battles we were actually living. That's why we wrote Confronting Evil in Our Time.